Hello and welcome to Channel Sports on Sunday. I'm Cecilia Omogbe right here in Lagos. And of course, Ken Ochonogo is in London joining us from there. Ken, good afternoon.
Hello, Cici. It looks like it's bright and sunny in Lagos today.
That's how it's looking like. All right, and of course, right here in the studio, we have Theophilus Agbolao joining me in Lagos studio. How you doing?
I'm good. I missed our last week, but
yeah, this week you're back.
And a lot happened this week.
A lot happened this week. So much happened this week. But this is how the program is looking like this afternoon. We'll be talking about wrestling and, of course, funding and sports. Remember last week we had the former Minister for Sport. Talking about the former Minister for Sports joined us last week to talk about funding and how you can separate the Ministry of Sport and also the Ministry of Youth so you can have more money, coming into sport and the Federation can have more competitions to compete in. Daniel Kigali, the president of Nigeria Wrestling Federation, will be joining us to talk more about that. And, of course, what wrestling is actually doing to have more funds into the sport. We'll also be talking about the WAFU B Girls Cup that just ended in Ghana last night, Kumasi precisely, where the four corners, they fell short to win the title. They lost to Ghana 3-1 on penalties after a full time ended 1-1. And also, we'll go to Argentina, where we know the host nations, they are out. But then Brazil also, they're out. You still have Nigeria in the business. They are in the quarterfinals. They'll be up against South Korea today. We'll talk about that. And, of course, you have Italy through to the semi-finals. Italy were also in Nigeria's group. So if Nigeria should beat South Korea tonight, they will be up against Italy in the semi-finals. We'll talk about that and also touch down on the Federation Cup, how Benin Insurance got into the final. They will be up against Rangers, who happens to be 6 times champion in that particular competition. And also the NPFL Super Six playoffs is taking place in Lagos. Enyimba, Benin Insurance, Lobby Stars, Sunshine Stars, and of course Rivers United. All of them were in action on Saturday, with only Rivers United being the only team that was able to win. Rangers, Enyimba ended in a draw. Why Rangers do this afternoon? Enyimba ended with a 2-0 against Remo Stars. Insurance goalless against Lobby Stars. Of course, Sunshine and Rivers winning by a lone goal. We'll also talk about, well, the FA Cup, Manchester City gunning up for the treble. They already had 2 locked down. It's just 1 to go, which is the FA Champions League, the biggest, the holy grail that they've been seeking. They will see if they can get their hands on that. But Inter Milan, of course, is the team that may just deter them from winning that title. And, of course, we'll wrap it up with Bukayo Saka in Lagos. This is going around everywhere. Channels Television was able to catch up with him in Lagos, what he came here to do. So these are many more on the show this afternoon. So let's start up with this one. Wrestling, of course, in Nigeria, development, and also how we can actually get more funds to ensure that, yes, this particular sport where we are winning so many medals in Africa and also in the world, how to improve to maybe a gold medal at the Olympics. And we will be joined by Daniel Kigali, the president of the Federation. So many questions to ask, but I know he will be able to give us the answers that we are seeking. Good afternoon. It's good to have you join us on the program.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on your program this afternoon.
All right. The last time Nigeria went for the World, the African Wrestling Championships, a senior category, of course, in Tunisia. I mean, you're having the women. I mean, let me put it there because they are dominating that sport. 12 times they are champions. Tunisia and Egypt fell short of 8. But then, with the numbers of athletes we are sending to these particular competitions, can we have more? And what is the reason why we keep having the same number of athletes going for these competitions?
Well, thank you for that question. Before I go on, though, let me use this opportunity to wish a happy birthday to the champion governor, His Excellency Senator Doridi. This is his birthday. So I wanted to do that right off the bat. Yes, we were just at the African Championships. We were just at the African Championships, as you know. We went with 10 female athletes. This time, last year, we went with 8 because of funding issues. And, as at last year, we were 11-time African champions in female wrestling. But because we went with two less athletes, Tunisia beat us by 7 points and we came second. But this year we went with all 10. All 10 of them were in the finals. We won 6 gold and 4 silver medals and became African champions for the 12th time in the history. In fact, we are the only team that has done that in wrestling. And Blessing Oburududu became a 13-time African champion in the process. You talked about why we go with the numbers that are not enough. We're actually supposed to go with 30 athletes, and that is just for the senior. We're also supposed to go with 30 for the junior and 30 for the cadet. Of course, you know, the cadet is between the ages of 15 and 17. Junior is between the ages of 18 and 20. And then the senior is from the age of 20 and above. But because of the funding issues, we were only able to go with most of our senior athletes in female. And then in freestyle, we went with about 6 of them and 1 in Greco-Roman. And it was actually the Bayelsa State government that actually also supported us in going with 3 junior athletes to the tournament. And out of the junior athletes, we had 2 gold medals from the 3 of them. So the competition was, in essence, a success. But if you talk about why we're not going with the full teams, it's because of the funding issues that I think we want to talk about in a little while.
All right, talking about funding issues. Each time, you know, Nigeria goes for these competitions, it seems the Bayelsa State governor always come to the party, kind of sponsor the athletes. I'm afraid, what happens maybe when you're no longer in this position? Are we going to have any issues with funding? And what are you doing to ensure that maybe private partnership can actually come into the sport? So the cap in hand kind of begging will stop for wrestling in Nigeria.
Well, I'm glad you're a Nigerian, so you know the sponsorship atmosphere in Nigeria. I've said this before, and I'm going to repeat it again. The average Nigerian likes sports, is a fan of sports, but you know, we don't put our mouth where our money where our mouth is. We like to talk a lot about it. So, for instance, for wrestling over the past 20 years, you know what we've done. If you want to even look back at the past 10 years, there's no other sport in the country that has achieved as much as wrestling has. But we cannot attract sponsors. We can't attract sponsors for the very reasons that a lot of other sports, maybe 99% of other sports can't, maybe apart from football. So the only people who can fund sports and wrestling in this instance is the federal government and or the state governments. And that is where we've been able to find some support. Over the past few years, it's been Bayelsa State primarily. Of course, we have our national championships here every year. The next one is coming up in August. And then the River State government did some, Delta State did a bit. And that is those are the only avenues we've been able to get funded. It is because corporate entities don't see any value in funding sports. They don't seem to understand the importance of sports to the human psyche. So we would stay and watch on our television sets when our athletes are not doing well at the Olympics and put blames on the government, but no one is ready to come to the rescue of the various sporting associations in the country, and that is why we're having the issues we're having.
All right, Ken is in London, and of course, he has so many questions for you. So over to him now. Ken?
Yeah. Thank you, Sisi. Dan, let me ask you this. Well, we've been on this route for some time now. You know, you've been on this show, and we've been trying to look at various aspects. Let me ask you straight, because I know you don't play politics with words. The funding that you get and the funding that you need, what percentage do you say you've been getting? The last time you talked about 20 million being given to your federation, I'm sorry, I mean that was about a year or 2 ago, or something like that. If I can remember, how much percentage of the funding that you are getting? Like you say, this is what we need. Probably we need 100 million, and we are getting 30 million, or we are getting 40 million or 50 million. What percentage are you really good for before we move in, Devin? Okay, all right, let's get your response.
Yes, like what I was saying is we don't really have a budget. So it's difficult for you to say this is what I get, because if I'm going to the African Championships, I now go and apply maybe 2-3 months before that I want to go. And if I want to take my whole team, just my whole team to an African Championship will cost us 100 million, if not more. So you apply, and then the government comes back maybe 2-3 days before you want to travel that, okay, we are only able to approve 10% for you. So you now have to tell all the athletes who've been preparing to stay back, and you take your best forward. So let me just give you an example of serious countries and what they get, so you will know whether I'm getting what wrestling should get. In the United States, the budget for wrestling last year was $16 million. So if you want to put it in Naira terms, it's what, about 11 billion? In Russia, it's about 12%, the country that is about our age. The female team alone got $2.3 million last year. For me, if wrestling is supposed to go to the tournaments we're supposed to go to, because over the past, let me say, 7-8 years, we've not even taken one cadet athlete to any international competition. And if we are going to prepare for the long term, assuming we're thinking about 2028 and 2032, you are not going to be talking about Blessing Oborudu in 2028. You will not talk about Odunayo Adekore in 2032, or even 2028, maybe. So you will be looking at 15-year-olds from now. And if you don't have the budget to take these athletes to these tournaments, you understand where what we are doing currently. So I think for wrestling, a sport like wrestling, to be where it ought to be, I think we probably need a couple of billion every year. And if you say 2 billion, we're just talking about maybe about $3 million. And that is for freestyle, for Greco-Roman, and for female wrestling. If you want to do things properly. That way, at the start of the year, in January, you can plan for your cadet teams. So if they're going to go to 4 national tournaments, you plan ahead. Even for competitions that are in October, you can buy tickets in January because they are going to be cheap. For your junior team, you can plan ahead. For your senior team, you can plan ahead. And then for your local competitions, and for your referees, and for your coaching education, you can do all those things properly. But right now, it just add up things. So we take what we get. And if that is how we continue, and that's how we've been doing for quite a while, sports is going to remain retarded the way it is.
Okay, let me ask you this, because we are not living in isolation. The world is a global village, and we also, these are the things that we come up with every time on this show. There is supposed to be, you just talked about preparing your budgets and then releasing of funds. First of all, prepare your budget, how much you need, based on your tournaments, based on your developmentals, based on your, we're not even talking about capitals now, because you need to put your maths everywhere, well, so that people can your class can have where they can train. Yeah. But I ask you this. You said that I need a little more clarity on this. There is no budget. What do you mean by there is no budget?
Yes.
Your budget, like I said, you know your itineraries for the year. Each federation knows that. How come when they prepare the budget for the Ministry of Sports, do the federations not, like the Wrestling Federation, not send their own budget based on their needs and activities for the year to the Ministry of Sports to be included in the budget? Please briefly answer that, because I still have one or two things to ask on this.
Yeah, before the end of the year, they require you to send in your preparations, like your plans for the next year. So I'm sure it's factored into the budgets. But what I mean is, if I now tell you this is the wrestling budget, and I say I need maybe 3 billion for 2 or 3 years, because my plans are always for multiple years. And you come back and you say, okay, we can't afford 2 or 3 billion in the budget, but you have 500 million. 100 million for the next year or for the next 2 years. What I mean is, as I talk to you, wrestling does not have a budget. So it's like a child who wants to go to school. You go to your father, I want to go to school, I need transport. If he has, he gives you. If he doesn't, you check. That is how it is. And that is not how sports business is done anywhere in the world. Serious countries don't do that. I should be able to know now what my plan is for the next 4 years. And there should be parameters for me. If you go to the World Championships this year and you win maybe a bronze medal, or you have 2, 3 people placed in the top 8, this is what you are going to get in the next year. And that should be the motivation for every federation to do well, as happens in other places. I remember talking to you often, and I was telling you, at the last African Championships, Kenya, with all due respect to Kenya, Kenya is not a good wrestling country. But Kenya came there with 22 athletes. I went with a team based on the support from the federal government and the state government. Kenya came with 22 athletes. And I'm asking, how do you afford it? Because it costs us 2.7 million to take each athlete to that tournament. And they told me it's their luxury, that they have $250,000 from January to June. And he has to finish spending that so he can apply for the rest of the year. This is a country that came to this tournament and won 2 bronze medals. I am back here with 8 gold medals. We have the current 3 current Commonwealth Games champions, gold medalists. We have a silver medalist from the Olympics. We have world medalists, and we don't have a budget. And we want to be a serious sports country. Sorry, I said football because we're a footballing nation, only football. We only dwell on football. So if I'm saying football, that's what I mean. But we must plan, and we must have budgets for sporting federations, or we'll continue to stay where we are.
There is the sports lottery fund. We asked the former minister last week on this, the sports lottery fund. How is it administered, and how do you people have do sport have access? Not sports now. Do wrestling have access to the sports lottery fund? In England, there is the sport lottery fund in England that funds the Olympics, and the budget they release the money 3 years before the Olympics, because based on the APA, the athletes' performances. So that is where if your sport is doing well, you have more money is given to you. You are funded more. If it's not doing when they reduce your budget based on performance. So do you have access? Have you ever gotten funds from the sports lottery fund?
I remember maybe about 4 years ago, we got 3 million twice from the then secretary of the lottery fund. That was Engineer Bukayo. We just applied and we got 3 million once and 3 million the other time. But for the life of me, I don't know what is done with the sports lottery fund. Every serious nation uses the sports, and you can see the advanced improvement in most of these nations. In fact, about 88 countries in the world use the lottery fund to fund sports. A big percentage of it goes to it. So we should be looking at that. I remember having conversations with the former minister or the immediate past minister of sports, Chief Sunday Dare. And it was quite upbeat about something to do about it. He wanted us to get some leverage on the fund. So I think he wanted about 40% of the lottery fund dedicated specifically the main agenda. Getting the National Assembly, getting Mr. President to approve a percentage of the lottery funds from 30 to 40%. And I guarantee you, if that is done, and we have an agency that looks after sports and divvies up these funds to the different sporting associations, based on where your projections and the results you can achieve over the years, you will see that 80% of the funding in Shakes Olympics for the two quadrennial cycles. You will see the number of medals.
I think we need to go on a break. I hope we'll be able to fix that. And when we come back, we'll talk more on the issues of funding in sports. Yeah, we're having issues with the network, so I'm sure we won't be able to take him further on the questions that Ken Chenonga was asking him. I love the fact that before he left, he talked about the fact that the former minister, Sunday Dare, is anticipating a way whereby maybe the National Assembly can actually ensure that maybe 40% or 80% from the Lottery Sports Fund goes to sports funding. So these issues of looking for money every time Nigeria is going for international competitions will stop. All right, let's move on from there. Hopefully we can have him again, so we'll be able to, when network is really okay, we can get some answers from him concerning some of the questions I can ask him from London. All right, let's go straight to the Under-20 Girls Cup taking place in Ghana, or rather ended on Saturday in Ghana. The host nation, the Ghanaians, of course, are the champions of the very first edition of the WAFU B Under-20 Girls Cup. At the expenses, of course, the Falconets. That game ended 3-1 on penalties. Ghana and Nigeria. Ghana scored first from the penalty spot. Sebastian Flourish equalized for Nigeria, ended 1-0 at regulation time. They went into penalties. And, of course, Nigeria missed all three penalties as well, scoring one. You have Sebastian Flourish missing. Esther Eunice also missing from the spot. Of course, the Ghanaians converted 3, missing just 1. And that's how that result ended. For the third place match, it was Burkina Faso and Benin Republic. Burkina Faso finished third, beating Benin Republic by 2-1. Jimmy Ogulana. They can't go there home.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember the last time we went there at the African Women's Championship last in Ghana before we went to Morocco. We went there, and of course, they didn't get to the final.
I think, like you always say, when it's about underage competition, it's supposed to be about the transitioning, the proper transitioning of these girls to the higher national teams, because we've seen the likes of Sebastian Flourish already play. Opeyemi Ajakaye also moving up, doing the needful, also scoring, highest goal scorer, scoring 6 goals. You can see the girl, the Stella Inyekmeye, the Ghanaian girl, the MVP of the competition, fantastic player, captain of the team. And we also have seen that some of our own girls, the likes of Esther, Sebastian Flourish, they actually play the game. They know how to prove crucial to the team. And, I think that we should just look at the positive side to this. We normally like to win. But at the end of the day, we are seeing that transitioning, and we like what we see.
Interesting. What do you think about the whole competition, Nigeria's performance? They scored 20 goals.
Yes.
And that was good to see.
And Ajakaye was actually very impressive.
Yeah.
Well, like Jimmy said, it's about the transition when it's about youth competition, about youngsters going out to play. It's just that when it comes to female football, naturally, in Africa,
because we are dominant.
We are dominant. So you always want to see us win everything. But it's okay if we don't win everything. But when we get to the major ones, let's just claim it because our bet right. As far as I'm concerned.
When you talk about the major ones, well, we went to Morocco and we couldn't claim that we finished. Was it fourth? I didn't want to remember that championship. Actually, I don't want to remember
because they actually gave that.
I don't want to remember. I don't want to remember it.
Yeah, they did.
Let's not remember. The World Cup is here. So by next Sunday, we'll be counting down to the FIFA Women's World Cup. That's what we'll be focusing on. So let's leave African championships that happened last year in Morocco. All right, the Federation Cup, of course, Benin Insurance and Rangers will be contesting the finals. This is because Rangers, they had a very, how do I put it, a very low-key season. When you talk about Rangers, you know how good they can be. They had a very low-key season. But then they're in the finals of the Federation Cup, beating Lobby Stars. For Benin Insurance, it took them penalties to be able to beat Warri Wolves 4-2, with Warri Wolves missing 2 of the penalties, of course, Insurance converting 4 of their own penalties, missing just 1. It was the captain that missed for them, which was really ironic. That happened on Thursday night, right here in Lagos. Of course, the Nikon Stadium, that's the Mobolaji Johnson Arena. It's now the hub of sports in Lagos.
Cecilia, what is most exciting to note is the fact that we are having the rekindlement of memories from 1978 and 1981. You know, Theo is looking at me like this. You know, this is what will naturally excite Ken, because when he starts telling you about what happened in 1978, maybe we don't have that, because in 1978 you had the Rangers team, fantastic team. As at that time, you know, they had like 9 players in the national team. Everybody expected them to decimate insurance. It didn't happen. Now we have an insurance that had been invincible throughout, you know, throughout the regular breeze season, and well, in this case now, we don't have them dominating the CHAN team. If we have a CHAN team, they are not going to dominate, just like the national team that was dominated by Rangers. But we wait to see what happens. Rangers had a, you know, very forgettable season, so to say, but they have made up for it in this particular, in the run-up to the final. And we always talk about traditional clubs coming to the fore, because that's exactly what will make you have fans, you know, come back to the stadia, because you want to see the likes of 3SC doing very well. When they do well, the fans naturally come back to the stadia, and naturally so all the big teams, when they have, you know, finals like this, is always something to watch out for. A replay of 1978, 1981 finals, and in 2023, I mean, it's so lovely to see Rangers and Insurance. At this point, it's so hard to say who will emerge champions, but you know, I'm just excited at the fact that we have a Rangers and Insurance team, you know, qualify for the federation, and you know that excitement is going to come back.
Yeah, 1971,
1978 and 81.
Well,
you're not born.
No problem. But
you are shading yourself.
Yeah, no.
It's fine.
Of course, this is all well and good. But in 2023, obviously, I can get to watch it. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people talk about finals like this and memory that actually evokes for quite a long number of people. And it's actually interesting that happening in Lagos. Hopefully, quite a number of people will go and see it. Hopefully, we get to equally see it on TV as well.
Yeah.
And I think it should be one for the record books. And like you said, Insurance have been in fantastic form throughout the season. Because whether you like it or not, yes, they drew more matches than they won, but ultimately,
especially at the latter stages.
Yeah. So, but then again, they have done the needful at the beginning. It's really difficult to actually go unbeaten in the Nigerian Premier League, and I think it's really, we need to applaud them. But as to seeing them in the final against Rangers, I think we should expect fireworks. Yeah,
let's go to London, Ken, on this one, before we talk about the Under-20 World Cup taking place in Argentina. Ken, Benin Insurance and Rangers are in the finals of the Federation Cup.
I don't want to make some people uncomfortable because...
you have started. You have started.
Here we go. Let's go. Let's have it.
This is actually the third time that Insurance and Rangers will be meeting in the finals. They met in 1978 and they also met in 1981. As at 1978 then, I was a Rangers fan. And Insurance then coming from, Bendel, coming from my state, going to watch that game. I was at the stadium, I watched that game live. I bought both Rangers and Insurance, this face cap that nobody use a rubber to tie and you wear it on. So I was actually there, and it was quite exciting, moving to that particular finals. Because at the semi-finals, Insurance had beaten Shooting Stars by 2-0, and they said it was a fluke. That the Rangers would decimate them, but when they entered into that pitch, and then you saw the, what really transpired. Then I tell you, it was something to behold. Insurance won that game by 3-0, and then it heralded, a lot of stars. But in 1981, Rangers had their pound of flesh. Because Rangers also met Insurance in the finals and defeated Insurance by 2-0. So this is coming in, so many years after, in 2023, and you are having the, two of the giants of Nigerian football meeting. Nothing. I think we are going to have a special. I assure you guys, we are going to have a special on this, and then we can refresh, the minds, and then some of the big boys now in the studio who are toddlers or not born then will understand what happened in 1978.
Another shit. But Ken, a quick one, Ken. The final between Leventis United and Abiola Babes, 1986, and Rangers versus Insurance in 1978. Which of the two do you think is probably the most exciting we've seen in the annals of our history?
I think I don't know why, but I think I'm sentimentally attached to that 1978 because insurance came in as the green horses. Insurance came from the Calabar, the Calabar zone, they qualified from Calabar. They had Agua Naji in goal. They didn't concede a single goal from the preliminaries to win the title. It is a record. I don't know for now if it has ever happened again. The insurance did not concede a single goal from when they started the preliminaries to when they won the championship. So it was something. A lot of stars, the area of West of this world, in fact, Francis Moneda, Kadiri, Kana, Naji,
Prince
so the stars that were there, Harry Obu, no. Ebenezer Baja, Rufus Ejele. I can call most of those stars because they dazzle. And then it is not. We want to see that. And the Rangers were the dominating team in the land. Mountain Lokala. Christian Chuku, Chimel Ngati. Well, you see, the guys, it is not that they were calling foreign players. The home-based players were superstars. The Debamins and the Model Awards and whatever they were in shooting stars then in the semi-finals. I'm getting to the final. It was a cracker. It was a showpiece.
Ken, you are intimidating us.
It was more prestigious than the league. It was more prestigious than the league. FA Cup, Challenge Cup final. I don't know anything, guys.
but Ken, also in 1986, you had the likes of Wole Odegbami, the likes of Leotis Boateng, Andrew Way, Bawa Abdullahi, also Ayo Ogunlano Dairu side on the other side.
Okay,
you have fantastic players.
Right
so
now?
for me,
we're looking lost, right? These guys can't take over the show. The analysis will be done a day to the final. I mean, we don't have the date yet, but the speculation that it could be June 15. After the NPFL final season is over.
Sunday, the final is on the 18th. So basically, we are going to do a special on the Challenge Cup that day.
We'll wait for that. I think I won't be here. Maybe you have to sit here for you guys to talk about the 1978 cracker.
40-something years ago. Oh my God, come on.
Right. So let's quickly touch down.
Can we just take? Can we take a question from Dan? If it's clear, I don't know. Dan, can you hear us clearly now? If you are clear,
I can hear you perfectly.
You can hear us perfectly. Cynthia, are you guys hearing him? Are you hearing him?
Yeah, we can hear him. Yes.
All right, Dan. Before we close this round, I mean, the funding is being. I'm just going through certain things right now on the UK funding, and what I'm saying, Dan, man, let me not say this. For the next Olympics, the UK government at £352 million have been released. For UK Olympics, 352 million. They are giving them additional after 352 million. They are giving additional 12 million that have to join the funding. This is they are preparing for Paris 2024. How have you? Who are your athletes that are going to, and how are you going to fund 2024? Daniel Kigali.
Well, we have about 3 athletes right now that have Olympic scholarships. So those ones get some funds every month. And so what we do is we try to send those 3 to about 4 international tournaments to get them prepared. Blessing Oborodudu, Odunayo Adekoroye, and Esther Kolawale, they are the 3. Who right now are probably about the best. But we also have Mercy Genesis, who in my view right now is another athlete that this year can win a medal, and at the next Olympic, we are hoping to get something from. But going back to what I was discussing with you before we cut off, I think the solution to our funding problems, and not all of it, maybe 80% of it will be if we properly harness our sports lottery or the lottery funds to solving the problem. If we can get even 30% of those funds fully dedicated to funding sports, I think about 80% of our problems will be solved.
Finally, do the federation heads, wrestling federation president, athletics federation president, do you people meet together in order to articulate a clear path on how to send this to government? And like we said, I don't know if you guys have been looking at the Ministry of Youth and Sport, your Youth Sport and Development budget. where the NYSC takes over 92-93% of the budget, NIS takes its own, the Leadership Center takes its own, Nigerian Football Federation takes their own, and what is left is just a pittance for sports. Have you guys articulated a position on this and sent a memo or a stand to the government to say, look, sport is not being funded, sport is being killed if this is how we have to go? Have you guys have you ever met together to look at the funding challenges that you are having?
When we meet, we grumble about them. Let me put it that way. We grumble about the funding challenges, but we haven't come up as a unit to take our grievances to the government, as you said. Of course, sometimes too, you are worried or it's been slighted. And so you want to leave those things to the minister. But I think going forward, maybe before even the minister is appointed, we need to take that route. And I don't have any hesitation in leading that, because as far as I'm concerned, we have a lot of talent in Nigeria. And if we properly harness our talents, there is no Olympics. And I say no Olympics where we'll be coming back with less than 3 gold medals. None.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you so much. We'll still call on you every time we need you. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, I'm happy we were able to close it out on that. So £352 million for the Olympics. I remember when Solomon Dalong was talking to us last Sunday, he says usually the money is being released maybe 3 months to the Olympics, and sometimes they won't start it before the amount to be released. All right, let's take a listen to...
One day he said, in Rio, for the Rio Olympics, the money came 4 days after the Olympics have started, 4 days into the Olympics. That's when they gave them money, 4 days into the Olympics, while others have their own 3 years before the Olympics. We know where we are going. I think we'll get there. We'll definitely get there.
All right, and I hope this current administration will do better, talking about sport, not just welcoming athletes and receiving them at Presidential Villa, but being able to put in place the things that these athletes require for the games they will be going for. All right, let's take a listen to Benin Insurance players reacting to that hard-fought win over Warri Wolves, and then we'll talk about the under-20, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria.
I told some of my mates, I said if I go into this match, even if it's for 5 minutes, I'm going to get my chance. It came, but it was painful. I missed it. Feels so great to play against Rangers again. We had a good run here with them at the preseason tournament. So we won them 2-1. So I believe playing Rangers again will be a great game. It's going to be a great match.
It's more like a derby match. They are our sister states, so definitely all hearts will come out. So we know that it's going to be a very tough game for us. So that's why we came out. It's just unfortunate that we couldn't get the goal as planned. So the goal a little bit destabilized us, but during the course of the game, we actually tried to compose ourselves and compose ourselves. And at the end, God crowned our effort with success, and we are very, very happy for that. The final is still far. We want to focus more on the Super Six now, and by the grace of God, I believe at the end we'll come out victorious at the Super Six. And then the final, we take it with all our heart. They are a beatable team. Even when during the preseason, we defeated them here 2-1. I believe by the grace of God, we're able to defeat them again.
I love that level of confidence. First, you listen to Ebenezer Odeyemi and, of course, Imade Osarenkoe. That's Benin Insurance highest goal scorers. At least I know these guys. I know this 1978 crew, 1988, 50-something crew. I know all these guys. All right, let's go straight to Argentina. Ken is going to drop his pen. All right, you're dropping it. Okay, before we talk about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. All right, so there you go.
Guys, enjoy yourself in the house. Until next week, I'll drop our pen as usual. Catch you guys next week, Sunday.
Okay. All right. Thank you for joining the show from London. I know how busy you are over there. All right, let's
doing the work of the Lord.
Let's talk about where you have the host nation out of competition. They also have Brazil, and these are the dominant factors when it comes to under 20 at the World Cup level.
They're winning about 11 times.
11, 1-6, 1-5. These guys are just taking it, and then but now you have some teams coming up. England won once, one time.
Exactly.
But you have other teams just sprinkling in around.
The likes of Tomori, all of them come today.
Tomori,
I think it was very exciting to see Israel, do one over Brazil. I mean, it's something nobody ever had, nobody could have imagined.
I think that's the biggest shock
upset so far.
You can imagine those who would have cashed out, punters that would put money. But that would have been rare. But you can imagine how it would have looked like playing against Brazil, defeating them, hard-fought victory. They showed sternness of character, always coming back, showing that, look, with resilience, anything is possible. And I think that's something that we've seen in this competition. We've seen some beautiful comebacks. Yeah. Apart from the beauty of the comebacks, you see that, look, a lot of these teams actually play without respect. Yeah. They not like they say, oh, you're a big team, and look at what Nigeria did against Italy. Ordinarily, you say maybe Italy is not, your traditional under-8 team where they do well like Argentina and Brazil, but the Nigerians played them, they outplayed them, did the needful against also the Argentines. I mean, when you talk about, when memories are evoked about what happened in 2005, for example, when Messi did the needful, you would have thought maybe these Argentines, maybe they would just defeat us and our boys will not be able to contend with the decibels of noise coming from the stadium and all that. But right now, it's just beautiful to see the fact that we are in the quarterfinals. I have no expectations beyond this. It's a bonus for me if we are able to get into the semi-finals because, of course, South Korea also, they're a team that done quite well. They played against Gambia, played out a draw against Gambia. Maybe they didn't show too much of quality in the qualifying stages, but they also are a team, they know how to progress. Yeah, against Ecuador. Against Ecuador. Even when that national team, even in 2002, if you remember, they didn't start like a house on fire, but we saw where they got to.
The progress. So, all right, we have confirmation of the results from Saturday, where South Korea, okay, now they have the quarterfinals that feature South Korea, Nigeria, later today, USA and Uruguay. Earlier, you saw the confirmation of the results, the games that were played on Saturday. Colombia and Italy. Italy beating Colombia by 3-1.
The Italy that we saw before.
I mean, when we come to at this level, they're not. But right now, the Italians that you're saying, they are favorites for the title right now. Israel and Brazil, that game went into extra time. The Israelis, how they were able to do this is still a shock to everyone, especially when Indonesia were to host this tournament.
There's that political undertone.
Yes, they said they didn't want to host them because they felt, oh, the Israelis, because of the war going on in Pakistan.
So you can say maybe that was even a point of inspiration for them, point of motivation.
Kind of sending a message to everyone watching that, yes, they are good when it comes to football. So right now, Israel and Italy are already in the semi-finals. So today, we'll see if USA, Uruguay, Nigeria, South Korea will be the ones that will be joining them after the semi-finals are decided.
Before a ball was kicked, I was about the only person on this set that actually gave the Nigerian players any hope at all.
Against Argentina,
Not
right?
against Argentina. Even before the tournament even started, like, okay, we could probably even go all the way. Everybody on this set said, well, they really don't expect much from the boys. And
yeah, you won't blame them. I mean, at the African Championships, we just qualified and then we came home.
I understand that, but to a large extent, I think these guys went to this tournament, I think, with the intention to prove everybody wrong. And to a large extent, I think they have done that. They've been super impressive. Yes, maybe 1 or 2 games they might have fought.
But we are a competition team, so to say, especially when we are playing on the global level.
Yes.
So most times we tend to rate our boys or our girls in some cases based on what we see them do on the continental stroke regional level.
Yes.
If they don't perform well enough
you really
at that level, you will not want to reckon with them going into it. But most times we've seen that.
When they go out there, it's almost like
always a different proposition
entirely. A different ball game for these boys. And I really hope that they get the job done.
It's always a different proposition. I won't believe that because I'm saying, well, just go there. It can be frustrating. But then, I mean, good one. Let's see what they can do against the South Koreans tonight. And if they can pick that ticket. The Italians are already waiting to see, are we going to face Nigeria again? I love the fact that the group stage, we took them at 2-0. Maybe if we beat South Korea, we can also do that. And of course, get a ticket.
Impossible is nothing.
Get a ticket in the final. Who knows? We are facing Israel, we can actually take them at. What if Landaboso go ahead to win it? I mean, those naysayers, the people who have been calling for him, they need to apologize to that man for what he's done.
I have a long list.
There's a long list of them. We will start right here from the studio.
There's a long list of that. Maybe I'm one, yeah. But,
yeah, of course, you're one, maybe.
But hold up. There's always a reason why these things happen. Yeah. When you consider the fact that you expect more, or maybe there are selection issues. There is that possibility or probability that, you know, you have people criticize you.
Selections, people will always...
But you've seen some of these players, especially the likes of Daga and Bami. I mean, you've seen what...
There is a reason that they gave for some of these players. When you have your passport is reading different names or different dates of birth, I mean, there's a whole lot. It's not something we need to talk about right now.
That you are not the mama.
you can't have some players having... When you were playing for the African Championship, your date of birth was different. When you're playing for the West African, date of birth was different. So you just want to have players you think and you feel this is their right age, so that really helps. But we need to go on a break. When we'll come back, of course, we'll be delving into the Super Six with insurance and, of course, by these teams drawing their first games. All right, welcome back from that break. Okay, time to talk about the NPFL Super Six playoffs taking place right here in Lagos. We'll start up with the results from match day 1. They're going to be playing one game in 3 days, all the teams. Starting with the results from match day 1, where Rivers United and, of course, Remo Stars ended 2-2. Benin Insurance and Luby Stars settled for a draw. That game was 7 p.m. last night. Sunshine Stars and Rivers United, that's the only game that had Rivers United getting all 3 points from that. And Enyimba and Remo Stars, the first game that was played, the opening game, ended 2-2 with Remo coming from the dead. Junior Unduka, who caused the penalty where Chukwuemeka Obioma converted. He was the one who got that free kick. And, of course, he scored the goal for them to get that 2-1 victory. Let's see, you know, pictures coming from that game. For today, the next game is going to next match day is going to be on Monday. Luby Stars will be up against Enyimba. Rivers United and Remo Stars will be in action. Of course, Benin Insurance and Sunshine Stars will also complete 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. respectively. That's the time for the games. Of course, is at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena right there at Unicon in Lagos. That's where all the games, of course, are live on a cable network, SuperSport. But then this is how the game started, where the first goal coming from Enyimba. Of course, when it happened, we were all excited, not knowing that a few minutes later you're going to be having a Junior Lokosa came in. It was his first touch. It was his first touch of the game. That's how he was able to get. Just look at him, nowhere to stand at a particular time. He was really excited. Remember, highest goal scorer at a point. He left,
all were clamoring that he should go to the World Cup. That was 5 years ago. Came back to the Nigerian League, doing wonders, and this is exactly what we love to see.
Something we love to see. And then after that,
scored a brace.
Yeah. Wow. he couldn't get it very easy. It was Unduka who caused the penalty that happened, where you had some issues happening right there. People were not really happy with, you know, the penalty call. But hey, you know, it's football. Really. There is no VAR in Nigerian League or anywhere.
Even when you have the VAR.
That's why Jose Mourinho is in soup right now.
Is it draw soup or is it draw soup or pepper soup?
So that was converted by the highest goal scorer of the league, Chukwuemeka Obioma. Before
14 goals during the regular season.
While we were thinking, okay, Enyimba had it just the last kick of the game. I mean, you have a junior, another junior, Unduka, you know.
Okay, yeah, right. Junior Unduka, exactly. So the juniors are really becoming seniors.
The juniors, they are the seniors at Remo Stars right now.
Definitely. Because there's a junior on set, really.
You know what?
There's a few junior on set.
Let's listen to Enyimba's coach, Finidi George, how he felt about this and how lack of concentration actually cost them the maximum points they were expecting from this game.
For them to have come and get a draw, I think it was quite unfortunate, but we'll accept it. A little bit of concentration on the part of my players would have helped. You know, that didn't happen, so we'll have to psych them up to come back for the next game. If they are not, others will fill in for them. So we have a large squad, so we are not quite worried about that. We have some ice baths and see how we can get the players recuperate as quick as possible for the next game. It's not easy to play a game. Normally it takes 48 hours for players to really recover before any physical activity, but that's how the competition is set up. So it's not just we Enyimba, it goes to every team. Today there's another match, so we definitely will have some time to rest and come back for the next game. So we cannot be worried. Others will still face same that we will face. So we'll see if we can mix the team up, get 1 or 2 players to mix it up with the ones that have played, and then see where we go from there.
All right, he mentioned that the players will have to go on ice baths. I don't know what these guys are doing right here. I mean, Jimmy is not bothered with them having to play one game in every, one game in every 3 days.
Once I understand how you mean, we know how it works with John. These players.
This is the Premier League. No, you're not going to bring that.
Okay, now, thank God it's no longer Nigeria Professional League. No, it's not the Nigeria Premier League. So there's a point on that.
Yeah, now, it's a top flight football. So
now, realistically, you say 48 hours. Yeah, they should have that rest. But when you also consider the fact that we are in a very crucial period where we want to try align a calendar as much as possible. You also understand with the IMC and the NFF what they are doing in terms of the calendar. Don't forget the Federation Cup also. The final is supposed to be played this month. So when you have all of that, you just understand. You try and understand where they are coming from. It's not convenient for these players. But I also talk about conditioning. They are conditioned to play. They love what they do.
They are conditioned to play games.
But it is stressful.
One game in 3 days. I mean, 24 hours, 48 hours, the normal time.
Cecilia, what do you do?
Okay. What's your view on this?
I'm still of the opinion that more time should have been given. Whilst I understand that, yes, we have to align with the international calendar and all of that, at the end of the day, they are human beings.
It's going to be hard for you to get the best.
Risk of injuries and all of that. I don't think we'll get the best out of this
God bless you. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Everybody's playing and being mindful of.
Well, now he's saying that
the beauty
ice bath, they have to go into ice bath. So those that are ready, yes, that's the beauty.
So there's no travel, time. The logistics angle is, already not a problem.
After you're done with the game, just enter into
ice bath and get ready for the next one.
Well, it's what it is. We just hope that it's better sorted next time.
Okay.
That's what it is.
All right. I mean, Remo Stars, of course, also, they've been talking about this particular game. We're talking about the coach, Daniel Ogumodede.
Ogumodede, please don't murder that name. Ogumodede.
Ogumodede. If there you pronounce my surname well, I should be able to do that. Ogumodede. See? That's not it. Ogumodede, yeah. All right, let's listen to him. What he had to say after that. When you're playing against the Warriors, you have to be at your best. And that was what his players did.
They are top warriors, not just warriors, top warriors. They were resilient. We know we play against the best club in the country. By record, by achievement, by what they have got, what they have given to football in the country. They are almost the best. For me, they are the best in the country in terms of tradition, what they have bring to the country in terms of our football. But we know what we can do to match them is our tactical prowess, which we try to do on the field. We take the fight to them. We give them a lot of respect, but no fear. At the point we're supposed to be respectful to them, we give it to them. Times we're supposed to be consistently battle-minded, we give it to them. And it's the result we want. Not the appropriate result we want. We came for 3 points, but not taking away all the 3 from us is also important to us. Like you asked, Lokosa, he brought the change we needed up front. We needed somebody to keep the ball. And there was too much eyes on him from the defender of Enyimba. They were all on him. They know he's the target man, so they were all on him. I can't blame the gentleman. But Lokosa came and he substituted for him.
Yeah, interesting.
Exciting coaches. A lot of people don't know much about him, but he's been with them for quite some time. Went to Portugal, came back, and you can see he's someone that actually has a working philosophy. Maybe not much is out of it, but you can see he's original. He knows what he wants.
And there is no, we thank God.
There is no, we thank God, we bless God. He talks about playing, respecting the opponent, but not fearing the opponent.
No, wait, thanking God and blessing God. I mean,
no, it's fine.
It's fine, but you don't bring that into the technicality of the game.
If you add it with God bless you, if you add it with the analysis of the game, like if I ask you a question, what do you think went wrong with the game with the players? Then you have to tell me.
But coaches are getting better.
What do you think? I mean, Philip George mentioned.
lack of concentration.
They considered that, and that's what I want to hear. We don't want to say, we thank God for the victory.
A few years ago, our coaches will tell you, I thank God, I give God the glory. Not all, but majority of them. But they are getting to understand it better now that what we want from you is either a tactical preview or a technical review. What happened? What do you see is wrong with your team? What are the strengths of your team and all that? So I think I
love both coaches. They delight to interview. When you interview coaches like this, you're happy. You get something back, right? All right, let's. Not just the coaches that are talking, but the top guys, the current highest goal scorer from the league, and of course the 2018 highest goal scorer, play on both sides of the match. Let's hear from them.
First of all, I would say. Congrats to my team in one way or the other because we came from one goal, then we equalized, then they scored again. So it's a good fight for my team, and I'm happy at least we came out with the 1 point in the end of the game. You can be here today, tomorrow you move out. I came back some months ago and I decided to join the Remo Stars because it's a good team and they have all the facilities, in terms of football. So it's a good team. That's why I joined them. A lot of things have changed. Then it was it's still the same NPFL, but now I think it's more of an advanced than before. A lot. I can't mention them. No, I can't mention it. A lot in terms of officiating and in terms of standards of the fields. At least they have improved a lot, so they are doing well.
Well, from the beginning we knew, Remo is not a small team. They are a big team, so we expected it. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. Although we wanted to win, but we are happy it ended this way. Well, I believe everybody gave their best, and although it wasn't what we wanted, it wasn't the result we wanted, but there's nothing we can do. We can only push and look forward to the next game.
Obviously, they have to look forward to the next game and see how they can get all 3 points. So right now, Rivers United, the teams with the highest points. Remember, the team with the highest numbers of points, of course, will be crowned champions of the league. Those teams who played very well in the abridged version of the Nigerian Premier Football League will have to be very careful in this one. We're looking at Ayimba, finish us.
Exactly.
We're looking at Remo Stars. We're looking at Benin.
But you can see in Rivers United, they are showing why they were champions and they're still, in pole position to retain the title. I mean, defeating Sunshine Stars is something that ordinarily on paper you say they should be able to do. But yeah, they have the quality, they have an experienced, a veteran manager. And also, when you talk about the support structure for Rivers United, it's about the best in the country. So at this point in time, it's no surprises that they are still doing well in this particular competition. Yeah,
Benin Insurance for you, and another draw. That Federations Cup ended in goalless. This one,
another goalless
draw for them. Benin Insurance for you against
I hope
Sunshine. Will they pick up their first win in a long run?
Hopefully, I hope they do so. But my fear is they don't become the Invincibles that don't win the league. That's just my own worry. We know one other team like that.
The Invincible that won the league, and this season they threw it away.
We just want the Invincibles that threw the league away, But I'm only hoping that Benin Insurance can do the needful and begin to pick up points.
I agree with you totally, but also you cannot discountenance what Eddie Tagoye has done with the Sunshine team this season. They didn't really look that part initially, but somehow they stormed into contention, and right there they are doing well. Yeah, a draw and maybe against Insurance. I actually think there will be another draw. I'm sorry to bust your bubble.
Against Sunshine Stars, there will be
I actually think there will be another draw. I'm saying again, I don't like to bust your bubble, Cecilia.
You're not busting my bubble. I threw the questions out.
Hey, we're in a season of throwing shades now because as an insurance, as an Edo indigene, it is natural that insurance is your team. So, oh right.
I won't be a Kenny. Insurance, so I can always hold this great. All right, let's move to the FA Cup, of course. Pep Guardiola, he's going in for treble. United did in 1999. United fans won't let anyone here. I'm sure they will be the team that will be praying that Pep doesn't get the treble like Alex Ferguson did the last time. But they are gunning for this, and for Pep Guardiola, that's what he's targeting after the beat Manchester United 2-1 in the final of the FA Cup.
They had it all to do yesterday.
And that's him right there, embracing Sir Alex Ferguson was at Wembley to watch the final. So much respect, yeah.
If United wanted it so badly and didn't want him to, you know, maybe equal the record, they should have done the needful yesterday. Yeah, they were 14 points adrift in this in the regular season, but they had the opportunity. But the difference in class was absolute.
Of course, it's always there. You can.
He's always but at the end of the day, there are times you see the difference in class, but a team just surprises you and just does the needful.
But I think 2-1 was actually a fair result.
It was a fair result because Gundogan could have gotten a hat-trick, really, you know. And I'm happy for him because, you know, the fastest goal so far in history, in history.
Before you could sit down.
Because Jack Robinson, I mean, it was so surprising, so shocking before they could.
I think we also have to look at the fact that Manchester United did what no other team had done this season. They put a goal past Manchester City in the FA Cup. That was the first goal Manchester City considered in the FA Cup yesterday. And the funny thing, as far as I'm concerned,
was that an achievement?
It is an achievement.
It was it was a penalty. Okay, it was a penalty.
You put one past them because before this, quite a number of people said they were going to be blown away. You know, but as far as I'm concerned,
I refuse.
You don't even respect Manchester United at all.
At all.
You're talking about Manchester United, who have won Premier League titles how many times?
Manchester United team, regardless of what happens today, is a greater club than City.
Really?
Regardless,
it's a greater club than City. It's the greatest club in England, whether you like it or not. I don't like to say it.
I remember.
Let's stop the argument. I listen to Pep Guardiola talking about the treble. Yes, he wants to get that. After shaking and embracing Sir Alex Ferguson, I believe that's where the inspiration will be coming from when he faces Inter Milan in the final of the Champions League. Take a listen to him. You just have to. It's so close. Win, and then you get the treble.
This man is humble.
Well,
he's done this before.
He's done it before, but that game has not been won.
All right, let's talk about Bukayo Saka in Lagos because these guys want to talk about Pep Guardiola. I know why. I mean, Barcelona factor is here. But Bukayo Saka, of course, I mean, he was hosted by the man who refers to him as his favorite player. I'm talking about the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. He hosted him just on Saturday before he went to the meet and greet
with that
he had with Arsenal fans in Lagos. So, I mean, it's a good thing when you have those players coming to Nigeria on vacation.
They are supposed to inspire another generation.
I mean, he's originally from Ogun State. That's where he's from. Exactly. Born and brought up in England, playing for England. But then,
from
for him coming...
From Kigali, it has to be said. So, Ogun Indigens, this is your guy. Lagos, we are also blaming him. But Cecilia, you know what I'm happy about? Yeah. You know what I'm happy about is the fact that Saka has done well for himself. Yeah. And you also have Osimhen, and also Tabita the Malawian, you know, doing the needful, becoming Syria highest goal scorer for the male and female leagues. Yeah. That's Bukayo Saka, where you know, meeting with the governor, also meeting with Arsenal supporters. I mean, this is something for the Arsenal fans to cheer about. I mean, they had a fantastic season by all standards, and also having Bukayo come, you know, meet with them is something really, really good to see.
He visited quite a number of orphanages as well, and people that have met with him say, very cool guy, very chill guy, very humble guy. And the meeting with the Arsenal fans, I can imagine how excited many of them will be, because not winning a trophy this season, I think this is like the closest thing.
The closest to a trophy for them.
For Arsenal fans.
Let's listen to him and then we'll leave the studio. Let's listen to him, what his plans are, and then we'll leave the studio. Just 20 seconds to hear from him.
I think there's many things that I want to do. There's many projects that I'm planning in my head, and obviously when they're all up and running, I think everyone will see.
Can you tell us maybe one or two of them?
No, not right now, sorry. I think it would be beautiful, but I don't control that side of it, so I'm sorry, I can't answer that.
Well, I actually wanted to know if Arsenal will be coming to Nigeria for a pre-season tour, but he says if left for him, he would love to, but then he can answer that because he's not part of it. But guys, we need to leave here right now.
Formula 1, Formula V, Verstappen on pole, and we wait to see what happens.
Okay, it's getting boring.
Denver not get Miami hits game 2. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens tonight. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mongbe. Have a fantastic day.